Hey everybody, it's Kevin and Paula again. Dinner 4 of the Dinner at Kukkula series. And this is probably my favorite, maybe not my favorite meal, but I think I said I love meat. This is filet mignon tonight, so hard to argue with this. Simple, but just spectacular, and spectacular with the 2013 Noir tonight. So Paula's really going to talk about the scalloped potatoes, which I'll let her talk about them.
Okay, so we're having filet, which we're just gonna grill very simply, you know, however you like that. I'm roasting some vegetables, which are over here, and then we're having what we call around our house everyone's favorite potatoes. So I've started slicing the potatoes. I use a mandolin. This mandolin I've only had for the last couple of years. It is far superior to cutting it by hand, but this essentially is the size of the potato slices that you want. Anyway, I'll get going on the mandolin so you can see. I'm not using the guard yet until I get it about halfway down, but you got to be really careful with the mandolin because everybody gets cut.
You could slice your fingertips off.
So after I cut the slices, I put them in cold water, and you're trying to like soak out a little bit of the starch, and I think it makes a difference in the potatoes when you're cooking them. So almost there. The other thing is you want kind of these big slices because you're going to spend your whole day setting them up on the cookie sheet if the slices aren't big. So
we'll do a little time with showing how Paula lays them out on the sheet so you get a good sense of it.
Okay, so I have all my slices done. Should I just move into that? Okay, so once I have all my slices and they've been soaking a bit, I lay out some paper towels, and I like to take out essentially layers worth at a time, and you just want to dry them off. So I just lay them out. Oh, and I'm using mostly golden potatoes, but I had one like russet potato in here. So so a mixture, either or, whatever works for you.
It's funny, Paula makes this these scalloped potatoes often, and I don't think I've ever actually paid attention to how much work it is to make them.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the neck, which is why, especially before I had a mandolin, it was really a pain in the neck. So at any rate, then I dry them all off. I have my other stuff, which is melted butter, chopped shallot, and salt, all ready to roll. So you just want to lay these out.
Glass here.
I have some of these slices that are handily perfect for the corners.
Now you've put some spray on the pan.
Yeah, I sprayed the pan. You could do butter, but it's not really necessary to put it on the bottom layer.
And she's slightly overlapping the potatoes, so it looks like about a ½ an inch overlap on them maybe.
So I don't know if you can see that. That's like my first row, and then you just continue laying them out until you've got the whole thing
And then
filled.
you layer it on top, right?
Yeah, and then I do some butter, shallot, salt, and then I do the next layer.
So we'll come back and show you how that looks when she gets to the second layer.
All right, so we're in between layers
You've done
2
a couple
and
layers.
3 now. I've laid out my second layer, and I just sprinkle a little bit of salt. My butter's unsalted butter, so you know, this is all of the salt, and then I just drizzle some of that over. And usually I have 3 full layers and then whatever's left. And tonight I'm using a 10 by 15 inch pan. which is going to feed 3 of us. It really could feed 4 people easily, but
We love these potatoes.
and I used 4 potatoes for this, 4 kind of medium-ish potatoes.
And so the salt, you use a certain kind of salt, don't you?
It's kosher salt.
Okay.
So, so anyway, that's the next layer. I also kind of alternate the direction of my layers. So the first and third layer are horizontal. I'm sure completely unnecessary, but you know, just the way that I do it.
Locks it up better, maybe.
Yes.
All right. We were hoping the sun would be a little bit higher yet, so you get a sense of the light out here. This is the first day that we've had dinner out here in our courtyard so far this spring. And typical in the Usula household is we have dinner here just about every night, certainly by late spring, all the way into possibly, early mid-October, I think, huh? Mm-hmm. We love to eat out here. We love to entertain out here. It's the perfect kind of food we're having out here, the filet. And look at everybody's favorite potatoes. Can you see that? That looks pretty killer. Want to talk about anything about the food there, Paula?
I don't know. We kind of covered it before. I don't think there was anything else.
So the medley she has here are Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, red bell peppers. Am I missing anything?
Nope, that's it. And I just do that with olive oil and roast it in the oven. So actually one thing, I've been told that my oven is like really good for doing potatoes. So it may not work as well, but I've been making them for a really long time pre-oven. So it should work.
She has a convection oven. The key, I think, is they're soft, but you want them a little bit crispy.
On the edges.
On the edges. The family is always fighting over who gets the crispiest potatoes, but you want a little bit of softness in there as well. So anyway, let's talk about the wine. 2013 Noir. Certainly one of our flagship wines, sells out every year. We always hold back about 11 cases for library, which we release about 3 years later. We're just releasing this now as a library release. Because we did these dinners, we thought it would be great to have Noir with one of them, and certainly filet mignon makes a lot of sense. 13 was a fairly finessed, acid-driven kind of a year for wines, the second year of drought. So the wine was a little bit leaner than maybe some vintages, but as it's gotten older, it's certainly gotten silkier, it's gotten softer, it's gotten more fruit-driven. The acidity is certainly still there. It's just really beautiful right now. It's frankly probably still a really young wine. I would think that this wine is probably going to reach its sweet spot somewhere in the next 4, 5, 6 years or so. Really a long-lived wine. 86% Syrah, 14% Canoise, and that's it. So let's see what it tastes like with it, huh? Oh, look at that. Rare. I love it. Cooked perfectly, salted perfectly.
Good combo.
Very good combo. The tannins are kind of soft, chalky tannins, I guess, but seem to kind of get elevated by the meat. Try it with the potatoes now. I love these potatoes.
Haven't got the crunchiest part.
Did I? Mm-hmm. These potatoes are killer. If for no other reason you got to do this recipe is because of the potatoes. They are really special. It's amazing. This wine has been open for maybe a couple of hours now. We didn't decant it, but it's 7 years ago this vintage this wine comes from. yet it still feels almost tight. So I would encourage you, if you're going to do this recipe, make sure that you open this wine up for at least a couple, 3 hours in a decanter preferably. But otherwise, really beautiful, huh?
Good piece.
Good piece.